So I want to welcome you for being here for today's Happy Chat. My name is PJ Ferguson. I am the author of The Shortcut to Happiness. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm not just somebody talking about happiness. I don't just have an opinion. I have a philosophy on happiness, a way to live. And a lot of it's in this book. I've got another book that I'm writing and it's on the way. So, if you would like more of what we're talking about, if you'd like to learn more of it in greater detail, please get the book because it's pretty darn good. When I'm needing kind of a booster, I go to the book, read about whatever it is that I'm having a problem with, and get kind of a booster. It's good. So I wrote the book surely because I know that there's people like you and me who are looking for happiness. And I absolutely believe that happiness is simple. If it's not always easy, it's simple. We're the ones who make it complicated. And that you can work it into your daily routine without it taking you don't have to do some big thing to create happiness. Happiness is all the little steps that you take. And that's why I called it the shortcut to happiness, because there are little things that you can do all throughout your day after day after day. And that's what really grows and builds your happiness. So that's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about in these Happiness Hangouts. And those are the things I want to share with you so that you can actually have happiness in your day-to-day life and in increasing amounts. So today we're talking about self-confidence because that's another thing people are looking for. Is we want to feel better about ourselves, or we want to feel like we're worth getting that job or promotion. We have this idea of what life should be like, and we kind of psych ourselves into feeling better about ourselves so that maybe we think we're good enough to get those things or attract those things into our life. And the problem with self-confidence or seeking self-confidence is that usually what we do chases confidence away. We actually end up feeling worse about ourselves. And I want to talk about why that is, because we always have to psych ourselves up for whatever it is that we're doing. But I want you to understand that you should get rid of the need for self-confidence. And as soon as you no longer need self-confidence, you'll actually have it. And so it's just this kind of catch-22 thing, is like we're chasing after self-confidence and it goes further and further away from us. As soon as we stop, that's when we end up having that self-confidence, because we don't need self-confidence anymore. Then we have it. It's kind of a funny thing. So I just wanted to talk about why that is, so that you can have some more self-confidence, so that you can have greater self-esteem, feel better about yourself. So whenever we talk about this, I always think back to Stuart Smalley. I don't know if you ever watched Saturday Night Live, but Stuart Smalley was this guy, and I had heard about him a million times before I ever knew what it was, because I didn't watch SNL. But when I finally saw him, he's this kind of brusque guy. He wears this sweater and turtleneck, and he stands in front of a mirror and he says, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me." It's kind of this little pep talk he has to give himself before he leaves the house. And it's funny because I think we all do it. I know I do it. I used to really need to feel better about myself, or feel strong enough so that I could go out and be strong or confident and put off this good air so that people would like me or they would be attracted to me. And so I think a lot of us do that. And that's why I want to, if you have to keep saying it, or you have to keep trying to convince yourself, well, why? What's at the core of that? Why don't you get to the core of whatever is trying to make you feel bad about yourself? Okay. So my version, I've got lots of low self-esteem stories. Yay. But the one I want to share today is that I grew up being very, very, very skinny. And the thing about being skinny is that as a man, we always get this message from the society and the media that you're supposed to be manly. If you're a man, be manly, right? Well, that represents itself in physical stature. And I was tall but skinny as a rail. And I looked at pictures of myself back in high school recently, and I was so skinny, so skinny. I'm still pretty skinny. People tell me I'm big, but comparatively for my height, I'm still a pretty skinny guy. But the thing is I felt really insecure about taking my shirt off. And eventually I started working out because I just wanted to get to this place where I felt confident taking my shirt off and I wouldn't be embarrassed. And I did, I got to that place. But then I started going to mainstream gyms. And when you go to the gym, there are beautiful people at the gym. Just, I went to this one gym that was in my neighborhood, and it was a gorgeous place. I loved it. And the people there were beautiful. They were young. They were very obviously successful you could tell by the cars that they drove and the jobs that they had. Just beautiful, gorgeous people. And they had this air of strength and confidence about them that it really awed me. I was always in awe of these people who were just so beautiful and so strong. They seemed so strong, inside as well as outside. And I found myself wanting to be like them. But I also found myself feeling very bad about myself being surrounded by them because I didn't feel good enough. I was skinny, of course, and I didn't have a perfect body like them. And I didn't feel confident about myself like they obviously did. And this was during a time where I was doing a lot of soul searching. I was not happy in life. I felt shitty about myself and about my life. And I was really trying to claw my way out of some darkness during that time and find some purpose in my life. And it's interesting because as I went to this gym over the years, I started doing some of that self-healing, that soul healing, and finding some purpose in my life and feeling better about myself. And as I did that, my perception of these people changed drastically. Of course, they were still physically beautiful and attractive and, just perfect physically. But then I realized that this air of confidence that they had was actually this wall that they had put up. It was this kind of aloofness. And at first, when I had encountered this aloofness, it seemed like strength. But then I started seeing through the veil that they were trying to put up, this veil of self-confidence. And it wasn't actually confidence at all. It was this wall that they put up out of a sense of weakness. These people who seemed so strong and were so beautiful and successful in life and had no reason to feel bad about themselves, they were actually very insecure. And so they put up this wall to kind of put people just a little bit at a distance because they actually felt insecure inside. They needed to feel some protection. And their protection was this idea that they had about themselves, or the persona that they wanted to put off of being really, really strong. And so that's kind of why I want to talk about self-confidence and just be very forthright about it. Is usually when we feel self-confident, or if you encounter somebody who feels self-confidence, you might get to a place where you start to see through that confidence, and you see that it's more of an act that they put on to seem confident, rather than this is who they really are, and they feel good about it inside. And so I think that's what we're all really looking for, is to find this place of, this is who I really am, and I feel good about it. And it's really hard to do in this world because we have all these judgments and expectations that are heaped on us. And society wants us to act a certain way. And the TV commercials and movies that we see, people are so beautiful and confident, and we want to feel like that. And so it's hard to feel good about ourselves when we're constantly barraged by this message of you're not good enough. So again, want to talk about that in greater detail, and I'll get to that in a minute. I did want to do a quick announcement. I'm going to be putting a sign up. I'm starting actual memberships for the Be Happy Now Club, so that you can actually sign up and become a member. And the free membership, they're all going to be free to start, of course. And what the free memberships are going to entail is going to be a collection of these happiness chats that we're doing. And I'm going to transcribe them so that you can have like a 2-sheet, 1-sheet PDF that you can download and have this message in whatever format that works for you. So there'll actually be a video, a podcast, and a downloadable PDF. And what this is going to be is, as we do more of these Hangouts, it's going to become this gigantic resource of happiness materials that you can constantly, I just hope that you would come to the Be Happy Now Club and have a place to hang out, and just be surrounded by supportive messages about happiness, how to feel happier, feel good about yourself, true inner strength, like we're talking about today. And so that you can make happiness a permanent part of your life. Well, that's another thing, is we're trying a new tagline. I just posted it on Facebook today, and on the website just a couple days ago, is we're helping you make happiness a permanent part of your life. And that's the whole point of the Be Happy Now Club, is that happiness can be here to stay. And as we'll talk about a lot, happiness doesn't mean that you feel, yay, happy all the time, because that's just not a reality of life. But true happiness is a deep sitting feeling, an inner knowing of your purpose in life, of who you are, what it is you're here to do, and that you're taking steps to make that a reality in your life. And that's where true joy comes from, is knowing who you are and being that to your best ability. Okay. So that's part of why self-confidence comes in as a really important part of of how we approach life, is how we feel about ourselves. And getting back to this whole idea of body image in relation to self-confidence, I shared that example of feeling bad about my body and wanting to be bigger. And I've always had this goal of being bigger because I work out hard. And, the main point of working out has always been to feel good. And I usually just have a goal of, I want to add, weigh a certain amount, because that's good to have goals. But really the point that I realized I needed to get to, rather than changing my body to feel good, was to change the way I viewed myself and felt about myself in order to feel good. And so now I can take my shirt off, and I don't care what I look like, because it's not about how you look. It's about getting that fresh air and enjoying the sun on your skin and being out there in nature and just loving it. And okay, so I want to talk about some of the problems of self-confidence. Seeking self-confidence is a real problem, because the more we do it, the further it gets away from us. And the first and main reason about that is because when we're seeking self-confidence, it comes from this fear of not being good enough, not being smart enough, not being successful enough or capable enough. And that can be a very deep-seated fear of not being enough. And every time we seek self-confidence and we say mantras like that Stuart Smalley, I'm good enough and smart enough and gosh darn it, people like me, it can make us feel good at first, because that's the message we really are craving. We really want to believe that. And so it's nice to hear that message. But then as we continue with mantras like that, it actually starts to take us down a notch. We start to feel worse about ourselves, because then it's like we're trying to convince ourselves that we're good enough and that we have self-worth. And that's okay, because that allows you to do some inner work on what those fears are bringing up. And that's work that you really should do. But rather than seeking self-confidence, if you're doing that, then you're just validating whatever fears are driving you to seek that self-confidence, okay, to feel better about yourself. So that's the main problem for seeking self-confidence, is just that you are actually validating the fears that are sitting deep within, okay? So be aware of that as you seek self-confidence, is just, what fears are going on inside me, and where did they come from? How can I teach myself a better way than that? And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Another problem with seeking self-confidence is that we always compare ourselves to other people. That's a really bad habit. And by bad, I just mean that habit will bring a lot of unhappiness into our lives. So if you're seeking happiness, stop comparing yourself to anyone else for any reason, whether it's how successful they are, how much money or possessions they have, or status, or the way they look, the way they act. Usually I'll just say this, is jumping the gun a little bit, but usually I'll say that if you're aware of, say, somebody's oh, they're just so beautiful, or they're so strong or confident. It's usually because that thing that you covet or are jealous of in them is within you already. You just haven't found it yet. So comparing yourself to other people, you're chasing away the things that you want rather than seeking what you already have and developing it so that you can share it with the world, so that you can experience it for yourself. And so stop comparing yourself to others. When you find yourself doing that or being envious or jealous, realize that you probably have that within you already, and it's just waiting to be unlocked. And that's where your focus should be, is unlocking that potential within you. So don't get stuck comparing yourself. If that's what you're doing, stop it. Start focusing on a better habit that brings actual happiness instead of chasing it away. Okay. Another problem with confidence is that, like comparing ourselves, is that we're seeking for an outside source of that confidence. We're seeking outside sources of validation. And the problem with outside sources of validation is that they change with our circumstances. If you feel good about yourself because you have a friend or a family member who is constantly building you up, well, that's nice that you have that in your life. But what happens when that person goes away? Or, people are fickle. What happens when your friends turn on you? I've had that happen a couple of times in my life, maybe a few times, of friends turning on me. And so if my self-confidence was rooted in my friends, well, when they left, I would be left with nothing. My foundation would be gone. Your job's not going to last forever. Your money, your possessions, any source of self-confidence or validation that you find in the outer world is going to go away. And so that's just another problem with seeking self-confidence, is that we usually are looking for some outer source, and that is going to change with time and with circumstances. And when the change comes, it's temporary, it's conditional. And the kind of confidence and self-worth that I want you to have is permanent, and it should come from within. Okay. So rambling on, the other problem I was kind of thinking about, that validation, is when we're seeking outer sources of self-confidence, we actually validate those sources that are telling us we're not good enough. We're buying into that, whatever message it is that they're telling us. And the thing is, like, there are billion-dollar corporations who profit off of us feeling bad about ourselves. Like, they want us to feel bad, because when we do, we're going to go buy their makeup or their deodorant or their toothpaste or their whatever it is that they're trying to peddle. That we're going to make them rich by feeling bad about ourselves. And so that story that you're not good enough or smart enough, that you're just not enough, is pure bullshit. And I don't want you to buy into it anymore. Please stop validating those messages. So basically, those were the thoughts that I had about why seeking self-confidence is bad. And again, the main one is that the more you chase after self-confidence, the further it's going to be away from you. The harder it's going to be to find, because you're actually validating the lie or the fear that you're not enough. Okay, that you have some reason to have low self-esteem. There is no reason for you to feel bad about yourself, not one. So I encourage you to stop seeking self-confidence, because that's just perpetuating the lie that you have some reason to feel bad about yourself. Okay, and you don't. You have every reason to feel freaking amazing about yourself, and that's it. That's the truth. You have every reason to feel amazing about yourself, and that's it. Okay, so we'll start with that, and I'll move into how can we have true self-confidence? How can we really feel good about ourselves? And the first place that I always start with this is realizing your true value, your true worth in this world. And it's not usually where we think it is. the thing that really helped me get here was, I forgot the guy who said it, Carl Sagan, who said we're made of star stuff. Um, that statement that he made really awed a lot of people. He got so much attention by saying that because it's true. We came from the stars, and in the truth of things, if there really was a Big Bang, we were there in some form or another. We were there at the Big Bang, and we've been through the formations of nebulas and stars and solar systems and these beautiful cosmic events. Well, we've been there in some form or another, or lots of different forms. We've been part of this world for billions of years, and the evolution of this world and all the beautiful things that go on in this world. And we've been part of it. We are part of it. To me, understanding that we're part of something so big, so eternal and never ending and beautiful, it really just awe-inspiring. I mean, every sunset and sunrise that I see, and beautiful nature. I love nature. And when I get out there, I see nature in action, and lakes and trees and flowers. And it just inspires me with awe. And it's a good reminder that that is what we are part of. It's where we came from. It's where we're going to go back to. And we're always going to be part of it. And so your worth as a living being is tied into that cycle of life and beauty and creation. That's you. And you are just as beautiful and important and worthwhile as all those stars that sparkle at night and all those flowers that bloom in the day. And that's where your sense of self-worth should start, is understanding that you're part of all the great everything that is, and the beauty of that. That's you. You're part of it, and that's never going to go away. And so your sense of self-worth should be infinite, because you're part you're part of that great infinite picture, that cosmic story of creation. So I don't know if that helps you, but I hope it's a good start for you, understanding you have no reason to feel bad about yourself, because you're part of all the everything that everyone else is too. And that just makes us equal with everyone. So I hope you understand that you are equal with everyone. Okay. So the next thing that kind of takes me to is that we're beautiful no matter what. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, start seeing beauty everywhere. And that beauty is within. Okay. Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So everything you see is beautiful. Well, then that beauty starts from within yourself. And beauty isn't the things that they tell us on TV or in commercials or the ads that we see in magazines. And that's not beauty. They're telling us it is, but that's the big lie that they want us to believe, right? So define beauty for yourself. What's beautiful? And then once you have that feeling of what beautiful is to you, go be it. To me, beauty is kindness. Beauty is love and compassion. Beauty is trying to make the world a better place. And it has nothing to do with how we look. It has everything to do with how we behave and how we treat ourselves and other people. Okay, that's beauty. So go define beauty for yourself, and then stop giving into the lie. Okay, another thing that can really help you find some self-confidence, some value, is to find the purpose in your life. What is the purpose of your life? And I think that every single person in this world has something that we're here to do. Everyone's got a unique combination of gifts and talents and abilities and passion for life. And the purpose of our life is to discover what those, if we don't know already, discover what those talents and abilities and passions are, and develop them and share them, and shine that light that we have shining within us. So find some purpose in your life that makes your life great, and then make that the sole focus of your life is doing that. I mean, if you're so wrapped up in a deeply meaningful purpose in your life, you're not going to worry about whether you have self-esteem or not, because you'll be so wrapped up in what your purpose already is. I mean, that's your value in life, is what you're here to do. Just be yourself. That's it. Be yourself. Okay. So, I like the way I said this once earlier, so I've kind of held on to it, but be the authority on your life. There's going to be a lot of messages coming at you constantly telling you that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're just not enough. That's never going to stop. The other voice that's really important for you to be aware of is the one that comes from within. That little voice that says, what if they're right? What if you're not good enough? Or you're going to fail? That little voice is fear. And it's trying to help you. It's trying to protect you. But what I want you to do with those fears when they come up and say, oh, I hate my hips, or, oh, my shoulders are too fragile, or, whatever you don't like about yourself, that's just your fear. So wrap that fear in your loving arms and send all the love you possibly can into those fears and self-doubts, and tell it, thank you so much for helping, but we're doing this now. We are rocking the world. And that's what you're going to do. And that's the kind of my final thought here, is to rock the world. If you discover what it is that you want to do with your life, whether it's your what you do for a living, or you just do it because you love it, that's how you're going to rock the world. And make that the focus of your life, is rocking the world. A little bit, a lot bit, however much you're supposed to be doing it, just rock the world and make your mark on the world. And the truth is, it doesn't have to look like anything. We usually have these high, lofty expectations of if we've really accomplished something, and if it was really worthwhile, then these are going to be the results. And if we lived our whole lives that way, we'd probably never do anything, because it's really hard to meet unreasonable expectations. Now, my purpose, I feel, is to get this message out there. I think the world needs greater happiness. It needs more peace. It needs more kindness and compassion. I think there needs to be less fear in the world, and we need to make the world safer for each other by being a safe person, for people to talk to, or being a safe place for other people to be able to be themselves without getting ridiculed or put down. And those are hard to find these days, I think. And so if we can be happy with ourselves, then we're going to make the world around us a better place. And that's what I really want to help you do, is to feel happy in your life, to feel better about yourself, and to make the world a better place. And, it's funny, because the first couple of these that I did, there were, 30 to 40, 30 to 50 people on the shows. And now the last two, there's been like 0 to 1 people who watched. And it was interesting to think about my reaction to that, because it feeds into this whole thing of, nobody showed up. Well, then I must not be good enough or smart enough. And maybe people don't like me. And that's really not the point. The point is to do what I am here to do what I love, what I'm passionate about. And if even just one person shows up, or one person sees this video, I'm going to feel like that was enough, because I know that the message that I'm sharing is a positive one, and that it's going to make you feel better about yourself, and it's going to give you tools for being happy and making the world around you a better place. So I hope that you'll join the club. Stay tuned. Again, I'm going to be adding signups so that you can actually sign up to become an actual member of the Be Happy Now Club. And the free membership is going to be these happy hours. There's probably going to be lots of stuff. But for now, I'm going to have the recordings, the video, the podcast, and I'm transcribing the high points of these meetings so that you can have just some quick cliff notes of positive messages that you can surround yourself with a good message every day, hopefully. And keep coming back to the blog, BeHappyNowClub.com, because I'm always putting up good stuff there, positive messages. And I I have 3 day jobs, so I do this on the side, but I'm doing as much as I possibly can, and hopefully I will be able to do more and more as time goes on. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you so much for rocking the world, because you've got something to do in this world. You've got something that the world needs that only you can provide. So thank you for seeking that purpose and doing it to the best of your ability. And I will talk to you soon.